Christmas morning should have been magical, but instead I was staring at my phone screen in complete shock. My family group chat was exploding with photos from Mountain Crest Resort. My parents, my sister Sarah, her husband Jake, and their 2 kids all toasting champagne in the luxury suite. The same suite I had personally designed the renovation plans for last year. They had no idea their adults-only Christmas getaway was happening at the resort I secretly owned and operated. Time for them to learn exactly who they had excluded from their perfect holiday celebration. The call that started it all came on a cold November evening. I was reviewing quarterly reports in my apartment when my phone buzzed with Mom's familiar ringtone. "Bee, honey, we need to talk about Christmas plans this year." Linda Thompson's voice carried that careful tone she used when delivering bad news. I set down my financial spreadsheets and gave her my full attention. "What's going on, Mom? Did you want to change the dinner time or switch locations?" "Well, that's just it. Your father and I have been talking with Sarah and Jake, and we've decided Christmas is going to be adults only this year. We need a break from all the hosting stress, and frankly, we want a peaceful holiday without any complications." The words hit me like ice water. "Complications, Mom. I'm 28 years old. I haven't been a complication since I was a teenager. You know what I mean, sweetie. Family gatherings always get so tense and we just want to relax for once. Why don't you go find your own plans? Maybe spend it with friends or something." I sat there speechless, watching snow begin to fall outside my window. For the past 6 years, I had contributed to every family Christmas. I brought expensive wine-coordinated gift exchanges, and last year I even paid for Mom's new dining room set so we could all fit comfortably around the table. "Mom, I don't understand. What changed? We've always spent Christmas together." "Sarah thinks it would be better for everyone if we kept things simple this year. You know how she feels about maintaining harmony." Sarah, my older sister who had somehow appointed herself the family spokesperson. The same Sarah who borrowed money from me last spring for Emma's summer camp and still hadn't paid it back. "Can I talk to Sarah about this? Maybe we could figure out some kind of compromise. I could book a hotel nearby or maybe volunteer to host at my place." "B, the decision's been made. We're going to Mountain Crest Resort for a long weekend. It's adults only, very peaceful, very private. You'll understand when you're older and have your own family." The condescending tone in her voice made my chest tighten. When I was older, I owned and operated a successful mountain resort. I employed 43 people year-round and nearly double that during peak season. I had a master's degree in hospitality management and a net worth most people my age could only dream of. But they didn't know any of that. 5 years ago, I had started working at Mountain Crest Resort as an assistant manager. The pay wasn't spectacular, but I loved the mountains, the crisp air, the challenge of creating perfect experiences for guests. I worked every department: housekeeping, food service, front desk, maintenance, guest relations. I learned the business from the ground up while my family back in Denver assumed I was playing in the woods and avoiding real responsibility. 2 years ago, when the previous owner, Harold Fitzgerald, faced bankruptcy after his messy divorce, I saw an opportunity. Using my inheritance from Grandma Rose, plus a business loan, I purchased the entire property through my LLC Alpine Holdings. The staff knew me as Operations Director Ms. Thompson, but ownership remained confidential. I wanted to protect my privacy and avoid the kind of family drama that was apparently inevitable. My motivation had been pure. I dreamed of creating the perfect mountain sanctuary somewhere families could gather without judgment or financial stress. The kind of place we never could afford when I was growing up in our cramped 2-bedroom apartment. Now, 3 days before Christmas, I stared at the reservation system on my computer screen. There it was in black and white: Thompson Family Party, 4 adults, 2 children, premium lodge suite. They had booked their adults-only Christmas getaway at my resort. But that wasn't even the worst part. When I clicked on the payment details, my blood ran cold. They had used my employee discount code, the one I had given them months ago, for emergencies only when Dad was worried about affording Mom's birthday weekend. My own family had excluded me from Christmas, then used my generosity to afford their celebration without me. I sat in my office as snow continued to fall, watching the mountain peaks disappear into white clouds. The same peaks my family would be admiring from their luxury suite in just 48 hours. The same suite where I had personally selected every piece of furniture, every light fixture, every piece of artwork. They wanted an adults-only Christmas without complications. They were about to discover just how complicated things could get. December 24th dawned crisp and bright, with fresh powder covering the slopes and icicles hanging like crystal chandeliers from the lodge eaves. I arrived at the operations center before sunrise, as I did every day, but today felt different. Today, my family would be arriving at my resort, completely unaware that their rejected daughter was watching their every move. At 10:37 a.m., the security cameras picked up a familiar blue SUV pulling into the circular drive. I watched on the monitors as my parents climbed out, Dad stretching his back, and Mom immediately pulling out her phone to take photos. Sarah emerged from the passenger side, looking polished in her designer ski jacket, while Jake wrestled with luggage and tried to corral 8-year-old Emma and 10-year-old Lucas. "Welcome to Mountain Crest Resort." I murmured to the empty operations room, zooming in on their faces as they took in the lodge's grand entrance. The massive timber frame construction, the stone fireplace visible through floor-to-ceiling windows, the twinkling lights I had personally overseen the installation of just weeks ago. "Marcus," my head concierge greeted them at the entrance with his usual professional warmth. I had briefed him that morning about providing exceptional service to the Thompson family while maintaining my anonymity. He was one of the few staff members who knew about my ownership, and his discretion was absolute. "Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, welcome to Mountain Crest. I'm Marcus, your concierge. We have you in our premium lodge suite with full mountain views." I watched Dad's chest puff with pride as other guests turned to look. The premium lodge suite was our crown jewel, 1,500 square feet, with a private hot tub floor to ceiling stone fireplace, panoramic windows, and enough space to sleep 8 comfortably. During peak season, it went for $1,200 per night. With my employee discount, they were paying $350. The betrayal stung fresh as I watched them follow Marcus through the lobby, pointing out details to each other like they were touring a museum. The hand-carved banister I had commissioned from a local artisan, the vintage ski photographs I had collected from estate sales, the custom lighting that highlighted the natural wood grain. Everything they were admiring I had created. By noon, they were settled into their suite. I pulled up the internal camera feeds, standard security measures for our premium accommodations, and watched them explore their temporary home. Emma bounced on the king-size bed in the loft space, while Lucas pressed his nose against the windows, watching skiers navigate the intermediate slopes. "This place is incredible," Sarah told Jake as she examined the marble bathroom. "I can't believe we found somewhere this nice that we could actually afford." Jake laughed, testing the jetted tub. "Thank God for that employee discount. What did B say it was for again?" "Emergencies." Sarah replied, her voice carrying that dismissive tone she used when discussing me. "Though I guess this counts as an emergency. We desperately needed a break from family drama." They had no idea I could hear them through the suite's intercom system, which connected to our operations center for guest service requests. Most families never used the feature, but I monitored all communications for quality control purposes. That evening, they made their way to Alpine Grill, our signature restaurant. I had personally worked with Chef Antonio to develop the menu featuring locally sourced ingredients and wine pairings that complemented the mountain atmosphere. Through the dining room cameras, I watched my family settle into a prime table overlooking the slopes, completely unaware their excluded daughter had designed every aspect of their experience. But it was what happened next that shattered what remained of my heart. A technical glitch in our communication system caused the suite's intercom to activate while connected to the operations center. Suddenly, I could hear my family's conversation crystal clear as they enjoyed their appetizers and wine. "I have to say this was the best decision we ever made," Mom declared, raising her glass. "Finally a peaceful Christmas without walking on eggshells." "I know exactly what you mean," Sarah replied. "I feel terrible saying it, but Bea has always been so needy for attention. Every family gathering turns into the Bea show somehow." My hands froze over my keyboard. Needy for attention. Dad's voice joined in. "She's 30 years old and still acts like we owe her something. Look at us. We worked hard our whole lives, saved money, made smart choices. That's why we can afford places like this." "Meanwhile, Bea's up there in the mountains playing games instead of getting a real job," Jake added. "Sarah's built a successful marketing career, contributed to society. Bea's just never figured out how to be responsible." I watched through the cameras as they nodded in agreement, completely comfortable in their assessment of my character and choices. The daughter who had bought them this vacation with her irresponsible mountain job. But Sarah's next words cut deepest of all. "Honestly, I told another family at the spa today that we finally ditched the family black sheep for Christmas. They were so understanding. Apparently their son is the same way. Some people just never grow up." Black sheep. They had reduced me to nothing more than an embarrassment to be managed and excluded. I sat alone in my operations center, surrounded by monitors showing every angle of my successful business, while my family celebrated their freedom from me 50 yards away. They had no idea that their black sheep, employed nearly 100 people during peak season, maintained partnerships with local businesses throughout the valley, and had been featured in 3 different hospitality management magazines for innovative resort operations. They saw my love for the mountains as playing games. They interpreted my privacy about ownership as proof of failure. They used my generosity against me while mocking me to strangers. The snow continued falling outside my office windows, the same snow they would wake up to tomorrow, the same slopes they would ski, the same mountain air they would breathe. All of it mine. All of it built through the hard work and smart choices they claimed I was incapable of. As I watched them toast their perfect Christmas without complications, a plan began forming in my mind. They wanted to enjoy my resort without me. They wanted to benefit from my success while dismissing my accomplishments. Tomorrow was Christmas Day, time to give my family a gift they would never forget. Christmas Eve night. I barely slept. I spent hours reviewing guest service protocols, staffing schedules, and reservation details. If I was going to reveal myself to my family, it needed to be perfect, professional, unassailable. I arrived at the resort before dawn and selected my outfit: carefully charcoal gray business suit, cream silk blouse, my grandmother's pearl earrings, hair pulled back in a sophisticated chignon minimal makeup that emphasized competence rather than family resemblance. I looked like exactly what I was, a successful resort executive in her prime. By 7 a.m., I was reviewing the night's security reports when my phone buzzed with social media notifications. Sarah had posted a series of photos from their suite, showing the mountain sunrise through the panoramic windows, the perfectly arranged breakfast spread. Marcus had arranged the kids in plush resort robes on the private balcony. The caption made my jaw clench. Sometimes you have to make hard choices for your peace of mind. Spending Christmas somewhere that truly appreciates family values. Living our best life at Mountain Crest Resort. 43 likes already with comments pouring in. You deserve this beautiful getaway. Family time is so precious. What an amazing Christmas tradition. They were broadcasting their perfect holiday to the world while positioning themselves as the victims who had to make hard choices for their peace of mind. The narrative that I was the problem they had solved by excluding me. I screenshotted every post, every comment, every heart emoji, evidence of how they really felt about their daughter and sister. At 8:30, I received a call from Alpine Grill's hostess. Ms. Thompson, the Thompson family has requested our best table for Christmas Eve dinner tonight. Should I accommodate them? Absolutely, I replied. Give them table 12, the window corner with the fireplace view. I want their evening to be memorable. By evening, my family was dressed in their Christmas finest, Emma in a red velvet dress and Lucas in a tiny suit with bow tie. They looked like a magazine spread as Marcus escorted them to their prime table, other guests turning to admire the picture-perfect family. I watched from the restaurant security office as they ordered our most expensive wine pairing, the dry-aged steaks, lobster thermidor for Sarah and Mom. Dad insisted on the chef's tasting menu. Their bill would easily reach $800, money they could spend because they were saving $6,000 on accommodation thanks to my discount. As they raised their glasses in another toast, to family who truly matter, I made my decision. It was time. I walked through the restaurant's main entrance, my heels clicking confidently on the hardwood floors. Other diners turned to look. I commanded attention in my executive attire, moving with the authority of someone who belonged in charge. My family's table was an animated conversation when I approached, laughing at something Jake had said. The laughter died when they looked up to see me standing there. Good evening, I said in my most professional tone. I'm Ms. Thompson, Operations Director for Mountain Crest Resort. I apologize for the interruption, but I need to discuss a reservation discrepancy with your party. The silence stretched for what felt like hours. Dad's wine glass stopped halfway to his lips. Mom's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Sarah simply stared, her face cycling through confusion, recognition, and something approaching horror. "B," Sarah finally whispered. "What are you doing here? Do you work here?" I smiled politely, the same smile I used for any resort guest requiring assistance. "There appears to be an error with your booking. I need to verify the authorization for the employee discount applied to your reservation." The color drained from Dad's face. Around us, other diners were beginning to notice the tension at table 12. The picture-perfect family Christmas was developing cracks. "This is obviously some kind of mistake." Dad blustered, his voice louder than necessary. "We booked this reservation properly through your website." I consulted my clipboard, a prop I had brought specifically for this moment. "According to our records, the discount code used belongs to an employee named B. Thompson. Can you confirm your relationship to this individual?" Mom's nervous laughter attracted more stares. "Well, that's our daughter, but she's not here with us tonight." "I see." I made a note on my clipboard, letting the silence build. "Unfortunately, employee discounts require the employee's presence for validation according to our holiday policy. This creates a billing discrepancy that needs immediate correction." Jake leaned forward, desperation creeping into his voice. "What kind of correction are we talking about?" I consulted my clipboard again, though I knew the numbers by heart. "The difference between your discounted rate and our standard holiday premium pricing. For a 4-night stay in the Premium Lodge Suite during Christmas week, that would be an additional $4,200. The number landed like a physical blow. Emma looked up from her coloring book, sensing the adult tension. Lucas stopped playing with his dinner rolls. $4,000, Mom's voice cracked. "But we already paid—" "You paid the discounted rate," I clarified gently. I'll have our billing department send the adjustment to your room. You can settle the balance at checkout or arrange payment now if you prefer. I watched my family realize they were trapped. They had budgeted for a $350 per night getaway, not $1,200. They didn't have an extra $4,000, especially not after their expensive dinner and planned activities. Sarah's eyes narrowed as she studied my face. "B, what is this? Some kind of revenge because we didn't invite you for Christmas." I maintained my professional mask, though inside I was savoring their discomfort. "Ma'am, I'm simply doing my job. Employee benefit policies exist for a reason." Dad attempted to recover his authority. "Look, I don't know what kind of game this is, but we're paying customers here. We demand to speak to your manager." "Of course, sir. I'll have my supervisor contact you first thing tomorrow morning to discuss your options." I clicked my pen closed and tucked my clipboard under my arm. "Enjoy the rest of your Christmas Eve dinner. The lobster thermidor is particularly excellent tonight." As I walked away, I heard Emma ask in her clear child's voice, "Mommy, why is Aunt B dressed like a business lady? And why does she seem mad at us?" The question followed me back to the operations center where I sat surrounded by screens showing my family's stricken faces, their ruined Christmas Eve dinner, their whispered crisis conference around a table that overlooked the slopes of my mountain resort. They had wanted a Christmas without me. Tomorrow they were going to discover that Christmas at Mountain Crest Resort was very much about me indeed. Christmas morning arrived with 6 inches of fresh powder and crystal clear skies, the kind of postcard-perfect day that made Mountain Crest Resort worth every penny. I arrived at the operations center to find my night manager's report waiting. The Thompson family had returned to their suite immediately after dinner, canceling their planned evening at the lodge's fireside lounge. Through the security monitors, I watched them attempt to salvage their Christmas morning. Emma and Lucas had found wrapped presents under the suite's decorated tree, complimentary gifts I had arranged through guest services before yesterday's revelation. The children's excitement was genuine as they unwrapped mountain-themed toys and resort merchandise, but the adults moved through their morning routine with visible tension. By 9 a.m., they were at the breakfast buffet picking at their food while conducting hushed conversations. I watched Sarah pull out her phone, repeatedly typing and deleting messages. Jake studied the resort's activity menu like it contained the secrets of the universe. Mom and Dad sat rigid in their chairs, occasionally glancing around as if expecting me to materialize at any moment. Despite their crisis, Sarah still managed to post to social media. A carefully cropped photo of the children opening presents captioned, "Christmas Magic at Mountain Crest." Sometimes the best gifts are the memories we create together. The comments flowed in again. "Beautiful family. What an amazing Christmas tradition. You're so blessed." Blessed indeed by my employee discount and their complete ignorance of who was providing their mountain magic. At 10:15, I initiated the next phase of my plan. Dressed in the same professional attire as yesterday, I approached the premium lodge suite with Patricia Williams, our hotel manager, and Marcus, both of whom I had thoroughly briefed on the situation. My knock was crisp and authoritative. Jake answered the door in a resort bathrobe, his hair disheveled from sleep. Behind him, I could see the family scattered around the luxurious living space, kids playing with their new toys on the plush carpet, women in matching spa robes, Dad reading a newspaper by the fireplace. "Good morning, Mr. Thompson. I'm here to conduct the quarterly ownership inspection of this suite." Jake blinked in confusion. "Ownership inspection? We're guests here. Is this about that discount issue from yesterday?" "This is standard procedure," Patricia interjected smoothly. "Ms. Thompson owns this property. She conducts quarterly inspections of all premium accommodations." The words hit the family like a controlled explosion. Sarah's coffee mug froze halfway to her lips. Dad's newspaper crumpled in his suddenly tightening grip. Mom made a small sound that might have been a gasp or a whimper. "Bea owns this place," Emma asked with innocent curiosity, looking up from her toy ski set. "You mean Aunt Bea is the boss of the pretty hotel?" I stepped into the suite, Patricia and Marcus flanking me like a professional entourage. The space I had personally designed surrounded us. The custom fireplace I had selected, the furniture I had arranged, the view I had calculated for maximum impact. Alpine Holdings LLC established 3 years ago, I confirmed, consulting my inspection checklist. This suite was actually my first major renovation project when I acquired the property. I walked to the panoramic windows, pointing out details they had never noticed. I designed this seating area specifically to capture the morning light on the slopes. The fireplace stones were sourced from a quarry in Colorado Springs. That art piece above the mantel is from a local artist whose work I've been collecting since my 2nd year of ownership. Sarah found her voice first. "You own this entire resort." I nodded, making notes on my clipboard about pillow arrangements and supply stock. The previous owner faced bankruptcy following a difficult divorce. I saw an opportunity to create something special, a place where families could gather in luxury without financial stress. The irony was not lost on anyone in the room. "The employee discount you used," I continued, straightening a decorative vase that was perfectly positioned already, "was from my personal account. I created those benefits for my staff members' families, not for people who had specifically excluded me from their family celebrations." Dad started to speak, but I held up my hand. "Which brings me to why I'm here. This suite has been requested by the governor's family for their New Year's week reservation. I need to relocate you to accommodate the booking." The silence was deafening. Even Emma and Lucas had stopped playing, sensing the gravity of the adult conversation. "Relocate." Mom's voice was barely a whisper. I opened my tablet, showing them photos of our standard rooms. Small basic accommodations with 2 double beds, a tiny sitting area, and a shared bathroom down the hall. No mountain views, no private balcony, no hot tub, no fireplace. "These rooms are available at your current rate," I explained helpfully. "Or you can upgrade to maintain this suite at our full holiday premium, $1,200 per night for the remaining 3 nights of your stay." Jake did quick math in his head, his face paling. $3,600. On top of what we've already paid? Plus taxes and resort fees, I added. Though I'd be happy to arrange a payment plan if that would be more convenient. Emma started to tear up, looking around the beautiful suite that had become her Christmas wonderland. "I don't want to leave the pretty room, Mommy. Can we stay with the fireplace and the big windows?" Sarah gathered her daughter close, but her eyes never left my face. "Bea, please. We can't afford that kind of money." "I understand," I replied with professional sympathy. "That's why I'm offering the standard room option. You'll need to pack and relocate by noon to accommodate the incoming reservation." Dad finally found his voice, though it cracked with strain. "This is blackmail. You're punishing us because we wanted a peaceful Christmas." I looked at him steadily, this man who had raised me, who had taught me to ride a bike and helped with homework and walked me down the aisle at Sarah's wedding when she needed an escort because Jake's father couldn't make it. This man who now saw me as nothing more than a complication to be managed. "I'm running a business, Dad. Guest services and room assignments are part of hotel management. You wanted an adults-only Christmas without family complications. I'm simply ensuring you get exactly what you asked for." I handed Jake a folder containing the standard room information and checkout procedures. "You have 2 hours to decide. Marcus will be available to assist with your move should you choose the relocation option." As I turned to leave, Lucas called out in his clear 10-year-old voice, "Aunt Bea, are you mad at us?" I paused at the door, looking back at my nephew's earnest face. For a moment, my professional mask slipped, revealing the hurt underneath. "I'm not mad, sweetie. Sometimes grown-ups have to make difficult decisions just like your parents did when they planned Christmas without me. I left them there, my family huddled in the luxury suite I had created, surrounded by the success they had never acknowledged, facing a choice between financial ruin and public humiliation. Outside their door, I allowed myself a moment of satisfaction. They were beginning to understand what it felt like to be excluded, to have your choices limited by forces beyond your control, to discover that the people you counted on might not be who you thought they were. But this was only the beginning. I had spent 3 years building Mountain Crest Resort into something extraordinary. Now my family was going to discover exactly how extraordinary, and exactly who had made it all possible. By noon, my family had made their choice. Through the security monitors, I watched them pack their belongings with the grim efficiency of people accepting defeat. Sarah stuffed designer clothes into suitcases, while Jake rolled up the children's artwork from the night before. Mom sat on the edge of the bed looking lost, and Dad paced the suite like a caged animal. They had chosen the standard rooms. Marcus arrived promptly at noon with a luggage cart and 2 housekeeping assistants. I watched the relocation process from my office, noting how the children's faces fell when they saw their new accommodations. The shared bathroom down the hall, the single small window facing the parking lot, the thin walls through which they could hear other guests' conversations. At 12:45, Dad approached the front desk to address the billing issue. I had positioned myself in the lobby reviewing maintenance reports while keeping one eye on the unfolding drama. "I need to speak to someone about our bill," Dad told Jessica, our front desk manager. "There seems to be some confusion about payment." Jessica pulled up their account on her computer, her expression professionally neutral. "Yes, Mr. Thompson. I see there's an outstanding balance of $4,200 for the room rate adjustment." "I'd like to pay that now," Dad said, pulling out his credit card with visible reluctance. Jessica ran the card, then ran it again, a 3rd time. "I'm sorry, sir. Your card has been declined. Would you like to try a different payment method?" I watched Dad's face cycle through confusion, embarrassment, and growing panic. "That's impossible. There's no limit on that account." Sarah joined him at the desk, her own credit card in hand. "Try this one." Same result. Declined. Jake tried his card. Also declined. Jessica, following the script we had rehearsed, offered to call the credit card companies. The first call yielded immediate results. All 3 accounts had been frozen due to suspicious activity alerts filed by an employer regarding unauthorized use of corporate benefits. Because I had done exactly what any business owner should do when discovering misuse of employee discounts, I had reported it to the credit monitoring services as potential fraud. "There must be some mistake," Sarah insisted, her voice rising in pitch. "We're legitimate customers here." "Of course," Jessica replied soothingly. "According to the bank, you'll need to resolve the issue with the reporting party before your accounts can be unfrozen." They mentioned something about unauthorized use of employee benefits. The family looked at each other with growing horror as they realized the scope of their predicament. Not only were they trapped in substandard accommodations, but they couldn't access their money to escape or upgrade. By 2 p.m., they had no choice but to find me. I was in my office reviewing staff schedules when my assistant knocked. "Ms. Thompson, the Thompson family is here to see you. They say it's urgent." "Send them in." They filed into my office like defendants approaching a judge. Mom clutching her purse, Dad's jaw set in stubborn lines, Sarah holding Emma's hand while Jake carried a sleeping Lucas. The children looked tired and confused, their magical Christmas mountain getaway dissolving into adult conflict they couldn't understand. "B," Mom began, her voice carefully controlled. "Honey, we need to talk. There's been some kind of misunderstanding with our credit cards." I looked up from my computer with polite interest. "How can I assist you, Mrs. Thompson?" Dad's patience snapped. Cut the act, B. This is ridiculous. We're family, for God's sake. I'm confused, I replied evenly. Yesterday you were very clear that I wasn't part of your family Christmas plans. Today you'd like me to behave as family when it suits your needs. Sarah stepped forward, tears starting in her eyes. We made a mistake, okay? We're sorry. Can you please fix whatever you did to our accounts? I leaned back in my chair, studying their faces. I reported unauthorized use of employee benefits to the appropriate authorities. That's standard business practice when corporate discounts are misused. But we're your family, Mom protested. Are we? I asked quietly. Because family doesn't usually describe each other as black sheep to strangers. Family doesn't exclude members from holidays. Family doesn't use someone's generosity while mocking their life choices. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Emma tugged on Sarah's sleeve, whispering, Mommy, why is everyone sad? Is Aunt B in trouble? I reached into my desk drawer and pulled out my tablet, queuing up the recording I had saved from their Christmas Eve dinner conversation. I think you should hear something. I played back their voices from the intercom system, their casual dismissal of my accomplishments, their relief at excluding me, Sarah's proud announcement about ditching the family black sheep to strangers. Emma's face crumpled as she heard her mother's cruel words. Mommy, you said mean things about Aunt B. Why would you say she's a black sheep? She's not a sheep at all. Lucas, now awake in Jake's arms, looked around at the adults with growing confusion. I thought Aunt B was coming for Christmas. Why isn't she with us? I wanted to show her my new ski boots. The children's innocent questions hit harder than any accusation I could have made. My family stood there facing the reality of what their children had overheard, what they had learned about adult cruelty and family betrayal. Sarah was crying openly now. B, please. We were wrong. We were so wrong about everything. Can you help us? I stood up, walking to the window that overlooked the slopes where families were skiing together, building snow forts, creating the kind of memories I had hoped to share with my own family. I'll tell you what, I said finally. You want to resolve this situation, you can work for it. Work! Dad's voice was incredulous. Guest services always needs extra help during holiday weeks. Kitchen prep, housekeeping, maintenance, front desk support. Minimum wage positions that will allow you to pay down your bill and earn your way out of this mess. I turned back to face them. 8 hours a day until your debt is cleared. Room and board included, of course, plus meals in the employee dining room. Jake's mouth fell open. You want us to work as hotel employees? You're already hotel guests who can't pay their bills, I pointed out. Employee status would actually be an improvement. Dad drew himself up to his full height, attempting to reclaim parental authority. This is insane, B. We're not going to clean hotel rooms and wash dishes like common laborers. The phrase common laborers hung in the air, revealing everything about how my family viewed service workers, the same people who had been providing their excellent vacation experience, the same people I employed and respected. Then you're welcome to remain as guests and work out payment arrangements with our billing department, I replied. Though I should mention that unpaid resort bills are reported to collection agencies after 72 hours. Emma started crying harder, overwhelmed by adult tensions she couldn't understand. Lucas buried his face in Jake's shoulder. The sight of my nephew and niece caught in the middle of this mess tugged at my heart, but I needed my family to understand what they had done, what they had revealed about themselves. We'll work, Sarah said quietly, her voice hollow with defeat. Whatever it takes. Just please don't destroy us financially over this. I nodded, making a note in their file. Report to Marcus at 7 a.m. tomorrow. He'll assign your positions and provide uniforms. Your children are welcome in our supervised kids program during working hours. No charge for employee families. As they filed out of my office, Emma turned back to look at me with her 8-year-old eyes. Aunt B, are you still going to love us even though Mommy said mean things? The question broke something inside my chest. I'll always love you, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups have to learn important lessons just like kids do. After they left, I sat alone in my office watching the snow fall outside my windows. Tomorrow my family would begin learning what it meant to earn their place somewhere to work for respect, instead of expecting it to understand that every luxury they enjoyed was built on someone else's labor and sacrifice. They had wanted a Christmas without me. Instead, they were about to discover what Christmas looked like when I held all the power. December 26th dawned gray and overcast with the promise of more snow in the thick clouds gathering around the peaks. I arrived at the resort early to witness my family's first day as Mountain Crest Resort employees. At 6:45 a.m., they appeared in the staff entrance wearing their issued uniforms, navy blue polo shirts with the resort logo khaki pants, and non-slip shoes. The transformation was striking. Without their designer vacation clothes and salon styling, they looked like what they were: people who needed jobs. Marcus had assigned them based on availability and attitude adjustment needs. Dad was assigned to the maintenance crew under Tony Hernandez, our facilities manager. His first task, cleaning snow from walkways and restocking firewood for guest fireplaces. After years of desk work, the physical labor would be eye-opening. Mom was placed with our housekeeping team, supervised by Maria Santos, who had been with the resort for 12 years and knew every aspect of creating perfect guest experiences. Mom's morning began with learning to properly strip and remake beds, clean bathrooms to hospitality standards, and restock amenities without disturbing other guests. Sarah and Jake were assigned to kitchen prep under Chef Antonio, starting with the least glamorous tasks: washing dishes, chopping vegetables, and cleaning equipment. The same kitchen that had served them lobster thermidor 2 nights ago would now teach them the back-breaking work required to create luxury dining experiences. Emma and Lucas joined our kids program, supervised by Ashley Coleman, our children's activities coordinator. They seemed excited about the structured activities and new friends blissfully unaware that their parents were paying for this Christmas vacation through manual labor. Through the security monitors and my rounds throughout the resort, I watched my family's first encounters with real work. Dad struggled with the physical demands of maintenance duties, his back aching after 2 hours of shoveling snow and hauling firewood. I watched him stop frequently to catch his breath, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cold temperature. Tony was patient but firm, explaining safety protocols Dad had never considered when staying at luxury hotels. Mom discovered that professional housekeeping required stamina, attention to detail, and pride in invisible work. Maria showed her how to clean a bathroom so thoroughly that the next guest would feel completely comfortable, how to arrange towels and amenities to create a sense of luxury, how to vacuum and dust without leaving any trace of her presence. By lunch, Mom's manicured nails were chipped and her back ached from bending over beds and bathtubs. In the kitchen, Sarah and Jake faced the reality of restaurant work. The heat, the pace, the constant motion, the hierarchy of professional cooks who had trained for years to master their craft. Chef Antonio assigned them to dishwashing duty, where they learned that keeping up with a busy restaurant's flow required speed, efficiency, and the ability to work while standing on concrete floors for hours. But the real transformation began when other resort guests started recognizing them. Around 2 p.m., a family from Chicago approached Dad while he was splitting logs near the main lodge. "Excuse me, aren't you one of the guests from the Christmas Eve dinner? I thought I saw you at that corner table with the fireplace view." Dad's face flushed red as he leaned on his axe sawdust, clinging to his uniform shirt. We're working here now." The guest looked confused but moved on quickly. Word spread among the guest community as it always does in small spaces. By evening, everyone knew that the picture-perfect Thompson family from the Premium Lodge suite was now cleaning rooms and washing dishes. At 3 p.m., something unexpected happened. A local news crew arrived for a feature story I had completely forgotten about, a piece on successful young entrepreneurs in Colorado's hospitality industry that had been scheduled months earlier. Jennifer Walsh from Channel 9 News approached me as I conducted my afternoon rounds. "Ms. Thompson, perfect timing. We're here to film your success story for our Mountain Dreams segment." I tried to reschedule, but Jennifer was enthusiastic about showcasing a young woman who had built a successful resort business. "Our viewers love stories about local entrepreneurs who've made it big in the hospitality industry." The interview began in the main lodge with cameras capturing the elegant lobby and panoramic mountain views. "Tell us about your journey, Ms. Thompson. How did you transform this property into one of Colorado's premier mountain resorts?" As I discussed my path from assistant manager to owner, my vision for creating the perfect mountain retreat, and the challenges of running a year-round hospitality business, the cameras captured background shots of resort operations, including my family. Dad appeared in the footage carrying firewood past the lobby's floor-to-ceiling windows. Mom was visible through the restaurant's glass doors, clearing tables in her housekeeping uniform. Sarah and Jake could be glimpsed in the kitchen during a shot of our busy lunch service. My inspiration has always been creating a place where families can gather without judgment. I told the camera the irony thick as my own family worked as staff in the background. I learned the value of hard work from an early age, and I wanted to build something that honored that principle. The reporter asked about my business philosophy. "What drives your success here at Mountain Crest?" "Understanding that every aspect of hospitality requires genuine care and effort," I replied. "From the person who maintains our walkways to the chef who prepares our meals, everyone contributes to creating magical experiences. I've worked every position in this resort because I believe you can't manage what you don't understand." The camera panned across the lodge's main level, capturing the bustling activity of a successful resort. In the background, barely noticeable unless you knew to look, my family continued their assigned tasks. When the news crew finished filming, Jennifer shook my hand warmly. "This will air tomorrow night. We love featuring young women who've built successful businesses. You should be very proud of what you've accomplished." After they left, I found my family in the employee break room during their dinner shift. They sat around a small table eating staff meal, simple, hearty food that bore no resemblance to the gourmet cuisine they had enjoyed as guests. They looked exhausted. Dad's hands were rough from outdoor work. Mom had dark circles under her eyes from the physical demands of housekeeping, and Sarah and Jake moved like people discovering muscles they had forgotten they had. But something had shifted in their expressions. The entitlement was gone, replaced by a kind of weary respect for what they had been experiencing. "B," Mom said quietly when she noticed me in the doorway. "We saw the news interview. We didn't know you were being featured for your success." I sat down across from them, noting how different this conversation felt from any we had shared in years. "The segment airs tomorrow night. Mountain Dreams, Stories of Colorado Entrepreneurs." Sarah looked down at her hands raw from dishwashing. "All this time we thought you were just playing around up here. We had no idea what you had built." "We never asked," Dad admitted, his voice heavy with something that might have been shame. "We just assumed." Jake nodded slowly. "The people we've worked with today, they all talk about you with real respect. Not because you're the owner, but because you understand their jobs. Maria told me you still help with housekeeping when they're short-staffed during peak season. Tony said you can operate every piece of equipment in the maintenance shop," Dad added. "He's been here 8 years, and he says he's never worked for someone who understood the business like you do." I studied their faces. tired, humbled, but genuinely reflective in a way I hadn't seen from my family in years. "How do you feel about the work?" "Exhausted," Mom answered honestly, "and embarrassed. I've stayed at hotels my whole adult life and never thought about the effort required to make my stay comfortable. I complained about room service being slow once," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. "After today in that kitchen, I can't believe I had the nerve." The silence stretched between us, filled with recognition and regret. But we weren't finished yet. Tomorrow they would discover that their story, their humiliation and transformation, had been broadcast to the entire Denver metro area. Tomorrow they would face the ultimate test of whether their changed perspective was genuine or simply exhaustion. Tomorrow they would learn what it truly meant to earn their place in my life and my business. December 27th brought the heaviest snowfall of the season, with 8 inches accumulating by dawn and more forecast throughout the day. It was the kind of storm that transformed Mountain Crest into a winter wonderland, the kind of day that made guests grateful to be inside a warm, well-run resort. My family's second day as employees began at 6 a.m. I watched through the security monitors as they reported for duty, moving with the stiff gait of people whose bodies were adjusting to physical labor. But something had changed in their demeanor. They greeted other staff members by name, asked questions about procedures, and approached their tasks with visible effort to do them correctly. Dad worked alongside Tony to clear critical walkways before guests began their morning activities. Instead of complaining about the cold or the repetitive nature of the work, he focused on learning proper techniques for ice removal and maintaining safety standards. When a guest slipped despite their efforts, Dad immediately helped them up and radioed for additional ice melt without being instructed. Mom had been assigned to clean the premium lodge suite they had vacated 2 days earlier. I watched her enter the space she had enjoyed as a guest, now seeing it through the eyes of someone responsible for maintaining its perfection. She worked methodically, paying attention to details Maria had taught her: the proper way to fold towels, the correct angle for arranging decorative pillows, the importance of ensuring every surface sparkled. In the kitchen, Sarah and Jake had graduated from pure dishwashing to basic food prep under Chef Antonio's supervision. They chopped vegetables with increasing competence, learned to maintain clean work surfaces, and began to understand the choreography required to support a busy restaurant service. But at 7 p.m., everything changed again. The Mountain Dreams feature aired on Channel 9 News, just as the resort's main dining room filled with guests for dinner. I had arranged for the segment to be displayed on the lobby's large-screen television, ostensibly for guest entertainment, but really because I wanted my family to see their situation from the outside. The piece was beautifully produced, showcasing Mountain Crest's elegant facilities and my journey from employee to owner. Jennifer Walsh's narration painted me as an inspiring example of American entrepreneurship and hospitality excellence. At just 28 years old, B. Thompson has transformed this former struggling property into one of Colorado's premier mountain destinations. Jennifer's voice narrated over sweeping shots of the resort. Her hands-on approach and commitment to excellence have created jobs for nearly 100 local residents and established Mountain Crest as a model for sustainable hospitality business. The segment included my quotes about family hard work and creating spaces where people could gather without judgment. But it also included background footage that clearly showed my family working as employees: Dad carrying firewood, Mom cleaning Sarah and Jake in kitchen uniforms. Guests in the lobby began pointing at the screen, then looking around to spot my family members. The recognition spread through the dining room like ripples on a pond. Whispered conversations, pointed glances, the awkward social dynamic of people trying to process why the featured resort owner's family was working as staff. I found my family in the employee break room afterwards, sitting in stunned silence around the same small table where they had eaten dinner the night before. On the small television in the corner, the local news was replaying highlights from the evening's stories, including a brief recap of my segment. "Everyone knows," Sarah said quietly. "Every guest in this resort saw us on television working as employees while you were being celebrated as a successful business owner." "How do you feel about that?" I asked, settling into a chair across from them. "Humiliated," Dad answered honestly. "But maybe that's what we deserved." Mom nodded slowly. "I keep thinking about what that reporter said, that you'd worked every position here because you believed you couldn't manage what you didn't understand. We never understood what you were building. We never tried to." Jake cleared his throat. "The other kitchen staff have been talking about you all day. They told stories about you helping during their busiest shifts, learning their names and their families' names, fighting to get them better healthcare benefits and holiday bonuses. Meanwhile, we were calling you irresponsible," Sarah whispered. "We were telling people you were the family failure while you were employing their neighbors and friends." Emma and Lucas appeared in the doorway, still in their kids' program clothes, but subdued by the adult tension they sensed. Emma climbed into Sarah's lap while Lucas leaned against Dad's chair. "Aunt Bee," Emma said in her clear 8-year-old voice. "Ashley showed us the pictures on the wall in the kids' room. Some of them have you in them from when you first started working here. You looked really young." I smiled at her, remembering those early photos when I was 23 and full of dreams about what this place could become. I was young. I thought I could create the perfect place for families to be together. "You did," Lucas said simply. "This place is perfect. That's why we wanted to come here for Christmas." Out of the mouths of babes. The silence stretched for several minutes before I spoke again. "I need to tell you something. This was never supposed to happen this way." They looked at me with curiosity and growing apprehension. I had originally booked the premium lodge suite for our family Christmas. Back in September, before your November phone call, I made a reservation for all of us. It was going to be my surprise, my gift to the family, the first time I could afford to treat everyone to something really special. The impact of my words hit them like a physical force. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad's shoulders sagged. Sarah started crying again, but these tears were different, deeper, more broken. "When you excluded me, I could have canceled the whole thing," I continued. "But instead, I let you come. I wanted you to see what I had built, what your daughter and sister was capable of. But I also needed you to understand what it meant to exclude someone from family, what it felt like to have your choices limited by people who held power over you, what it was like to discover that people you trusted had been undermining you behind your back." Jake shook his head slowly. "We used your own generosity against you." "You used my discount to afford a vacation from me," I confirmed. "But more than that, you used my love for you to justify cruelty. You told yourselves that excluding me was for everyone's peace when really it was just easier than dealing with your own judgments and assumptions." Dad stood up abruptly, walking to the small window that looked out over the employee parking lot. "What kind of parents raise a daughter who accomplishes all this and never notice? What kind of people are we?" "You're people who can learn," I said quietly. "People who can change. People who can earn their way back into relationship." I stood up as well, preparing for the final part of my revelation. "Your debt is cleared. You're free to go." "Cleared?" Sarah looked confused. "But we've only worked 2 days." "Your work wasn't about paying money debt. It was about understanding value debt, understanding what you owed me in recognition, respect, and basic family decency." I pulled out an envelope I had prepared that morning. "These are your original reservation confirmations for the Premium Lodge Suite Christmas week as my gift to the family. The reservation I made before you excluded me." Mom opened the envelope with trembling hands, reading the confirmation details that showed my original intention to host them all for Christmas. "You can leave now and go home with a story about how your daughter humiliated you at her resort," I continued. "Or you can stay through New Year's as my family guests and help me understand whether this experience taught you anything real." Emma slipped off Sarah's lap and walked over to me, her small hand finding mine. "I want to stay with Aunt B. I want to have Christmas together like families do." Lucas nodded agreement. "Can we go skiing together? And can you teach me about how to run a hotel?" The adults looked at each other, some silent communication passing between them. "If we stay," Dad said slowly, "we stay as equals. Not as your employees, but not as entitled guests either. We stay as family members who want to learn what it means to be part of what you've built here." I squeezed Emma's hand, feeling something tight in my chest finally begin to loosen. "That's all I ever wanted." Sarah wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "We have a lot to make up for." "We have time," I replied. "Christmas week is just the beginning." Over the remaining days of their stay, my family experienced Mountain Crest as I had always imagined they would. Not as entitled guests or punished employees, but as people who belong to something larger than themselves. Dad spent mornings helping with maintenance projects, but now by choice learning about the systems that kept the resort running smoothly. He developed genuine friendships with Tony and the facility's crewmen who shared his love of problem-solving and practical work. Mom volunteered with housekeeping during busy periods, but also worked with me on guest relations using her natural warmth and social skills to ensure visiting families felt welcome and valued. Sarah applied her marketing expertise to help improve our social media presence, while Jake used his accounting background to assist with financial planning and budgeting. The children became junior ambassadors for other young families, sharing their knowledge of resort activities and facilities with infectious enthusiasm. On New Year's Eve, we gathered not in the premium lodge suite, but in the employee break room that had become our family space. The same room where they had sat exhausted and humbled just days earlier was now filled with laughter, stories, and genuine connection. "I have something to tell you," I said as we raised our glasses of sparkling cider. "I've been thinking about expanding the resort's operations, adding a conference center, maybe some additional family suites." Dad leaned forward with interest. "That would be a significant investment. Do you have the financing lined up?" "I was thinking more about partners," I replied. "People who understand the business, who share the vision, who have proven they can work for something instead of just expecting to benefit from it." The meaning of my words settled over them slowly. "Are you asking us to invest in the resort?" Sarah asked quietly. "I'm asking if you want to be part of building something together, really together this time." The conversation that followed lasted past midnight, full of possibilities and plans, apologies, and forgiveness. We talked about restructuring the business as a family partnership, about roles that used everyone's strengths, about creating a legacy that Emma and Lucas could inherit if they chose. But mostly we talked about what we had learned about each other and ourselves. Family isn't about excluding people or proving superiority, I said as snow continued to fall outside our windows. It's about building something together, brick by brick, season by season. The most luxurious gift you can give someone isn't comfort. It's the chance to earn their place in something meaningful. Mom nodded, her eyes bright with unshed tears. Sometimes the people who love us most have to show us who we really are before we can become who we're meant to be. As we watched the fireworks from the resort's main deck surrounded by guests and employees who had become extended family, I realized that this Christmas had given me exactly what I had always wanted. Not a family that needed me, but a family that chose me. Not people who tolerated my presence, but people who valued my contribution. Not a perfect holiday without conflict, but a real relationship built on genuine respect and shared effort. The Mountain Crest Resort continued to operate as one of Colorado's premier destinations, but now it operated as something more, a place where a family had learned to see each other clearly, to work together honestly, and to build something that would last through many Christmas seasons to come. Have you ever had to show someone their own behavior through consequences before they could recognize it? What's the most important lesson you've learned about earning respect versus demanding it? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about family relationships, personal growth, and the journey to building genuine connections with the people who matter most. Share this with someone who might need to hear about the power of standing up for yourself while leaving room for forgiveness and growth. Thank you for joining me on this mountain adventure. Remember, the most beautiful destinations are the ones we build together, one choice at a time. Until next time, may your family gatherings be filled with genuine love, mutual respect, and the joy that comes from truly seeing each other.